Is your relationship with fandom healthy? Are there any changes that need to happen? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is it toxic? Is there obsession at play? Let's get into it. But before we do, welcome to Love and Fandom, where we believe that the relationships we see on the screen help us understand ourselves at a deeper level and help us to have a better relationship with ourselves and each other. I'm Cheryl Muir. Welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you're returning. So, fandom. Let's look at our relationship to it. What I really want you to be able to take away from this video today is some action steps of things you want to implement and things you might want to change with relationship to fandom, and kind of understanding where some of these patterns might be coming from and what's really helping you and what's maybe kind of pulling you down like an anchor or something of that nature, something that's really weighing you down and keeping you in place and not getting you closer towards where you want to go. So I know we throw around words like healthy, unhealthy, toxic, obsessed, and I've used some of those words as a clickbait to get you to come over to the training. However, the way I'm going to teach on this is a little more grounded. So instead of saying healthy and unhealthy, because what does that even mean? I'm going to look at it through the lens of nurture and numbing. This is an analogy that I've used with my clients and in my courses, and the way I teach on it is this. Nurture helps you to feel better. Numbing makes you feel worse. Nurture helps you to feel better. Numbing makes you feel worse. So what does that look like when it comes to fandom? Nurture, or let's look at it in general. I'll try and give you a fandom example if I can. So nurture would be sitting with your feelings, letting yourself kind of cry and feel sensitive and tender, and really reflecting on how you feel and what you need. And it might feel challenging in the moment, but ultimately afterwards you feel better for it. You've had a good cry, you feel good, you feel better. Numbing would be knowing you feel upset, but then, opening the app. Where's my phone? I don't have it as a prop. Knowing that you're upset, grabbing your phone, going straight to the app, whether it's Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your fandom source is, going to that app and scrolling for hours until you feel nothing. And then after you've completed that activity, you feel like shit. You feel a little bit hungover. It could also look like, reading fan fiction at 3 a.m, been there, totally get it. And it's also worth giving you some context to this, right? Frontiers in Psychology did some really beautiful research in 2020, or was it into 2021? But they found that during the lockdowns, the viewing of television series and films and the reading of fan fiction shot up exponentially. Now, that's beautiful, and it's also kind of research from the Department of Obvious, because of course people are going to want to dive into a fictional world when our own world was feeling so challenging for so many of us for so many different reasons. So with this, it's all okay. It's all okay. We're not kind of judging ourselves through this process. We're just getting really curious about what we're doing. So what I'd like you to do now is to start thinking about some of the things that you do in fandom that make you feel really good afterwards, and some of the things that you're doing in fandom that make you feel like crap afterwards. So I'll give you some examples for me. Some things that feel really good for me after the event is writing, sharing my stories, interacting with people that have commented on the story, coming up with theories and headcanons. All of that feels really good, really juicy, really exciting. And afterwards, I feel lit up, energized. I feel like I've been seen, heard, understood, etc. I feel like I've spoken to kindred spirits. It's all good. The things where I feel like crap afterwards is endless scrolling. I also feel like crap when someone knows I'm online and there's messages popping up and they expect me to respond straight away. That feels like crap. Feels like pressure. I end up closing the app and feeling like I didn't get done what I wanted to get done. I wanted to share my work, share my stories, talk about my writing. And what ended up happening is I got into a back and forth with someone. It felt like crap. It felt draining to my energy. Being a hardcore introvert, it just felt like it drained me. And any kind of mass reblogging and reposting doesn't feel good to me either. So there's some of the things for me. And it's really important we look at it in this way, because like anything in life, it's not all completely black and white. There's shades of grey. It's not like this is completely great and this is not so great. It's just that we need to look at our relationship to it and how it makes us feel. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. When it comes to nurture and numbing, we feel better after the nurture activity and we feel worse after the numbing activity. But here's the caveat. The thing that nurtures us doesn't always feel good in the moment, and the thing that numbs us feels fantastic while we're doing it. So an example from non-fandom would be, do I want to sit on the sofa or do I want to exercise? The answer's always going to be sit on the sofa. The answer's always going to be, watch a film, watch a television series. I'm never going to want to work out. That's actually a secret of people that work out all the time. People think we love it. We don't. We hate it. We just continue to do it. Anyway, I know that when I exercise, it's great for my mental health. I know if I go a period of time without exercising, my emotional well-being really, really takes a nosedive. I know it's so important for me. But do I ever want to work out? Absolutely fucking not. Never. I never do. Worked out this morning. Hated every second of it. It was the worst. It's terrible. And I'm laughing about it, but I hated it, right? So in that moment, the thing that's really good for me is the thing I don't want to do. The thing that's really bad for me or is not going to get me to where I want to go, is not going to really nourish me, is the thing that feels great in the moment. Let's sit on the sofa, drink a cup of tea and watch a film. Now, I'm not saying don't sit down and relax. Of course, we want to do that. But that's just a juxtaposition to show you the contrast, between those two things and what they look like in real life. So what else do I want to tell you about this? I think this is the first time I'm talking about this, which is why I'm sort of tripping over my words a little bit, because I haven't taught on this before, and it is not going to be the last time I speak on this for sure. But what this is about really is understanding where some of our needs might be getting met when it to fandom, when it comes to interacting with people who are really into the same things that we're into, whether it is a show or a TV series or a film that we love or a book that we love, whether it's a character we feel really emotionally invested in and that we really feel shows who we are and shows the parts of us that have maybe felt rejected or abandoned or cast out or felt like the other person, and we see ourselves in this character and other people that empathize with that character. That feels very nourishing for us, and I think it's worth looking at too, where there's areas of our life where we could maybe integrate our fandom and nerdiness a little bit more. So for example, like on my journey, I've been in the personal development industry for 7-8 years now as a coach, and for a long time, I was like pretending I was a normal person. I was going on all these podcasts and going on, doing all this mainstream media and pretending like I was normal and not like reading all this like oddly specific kinky shit on AO3 and Tumblr into the wee hours of the morning. Now, was my relationship to fan fiction healthy always? No, it didn't always nourish me. But in terms of that side of me that actually was really important, that was saying something about, my sexuality, my preferences, my personality, who I am, what I love, who I love, what turns me on, etc. I was squashing that down so much and hiding that side of myself. It's quite different now, very much coming out the closet with, with love and fandom. And also some of the people in my life, a lot of the people in my life, my closest friends understand my relationship to fandom and that I love the MCU. And they might not know all of it, they might not understand all of it, but I'm very open with them that that's something I'm really, really passionate about and somewhat hyper-fixated on in this season of my life. So my question to you then would be, is there a way that you can integrate this into your life? Can you have people in your real life who really understand it, really love it? It might not be your immediate family. Maybe it's, your gay cousin. We've all got a gay cousin, let's face it. And if you haven't, maybe you're the gay cousin. I'm by the way, so I mean no shame, no judgment when I say that. But maybe it's not your mum and dad or your brother or your sister. Maybe it's your cousin. Maybe it's someone from work. Maybe it's someone from your local community. I don't know. But is there someone in real life? Can you connect with people on Tumblr? I did that many moons ago, like back in 2010 when I was first on the Tumblr machine. I'm a bit of an OG. I was there when the ancient magic was written, as they say. I would have, what was it at the time? It wasn't Zoom, it wasn't FaceTime. I'm very old. What technology did we use? Was it Skype? Maybe it was Skype. I think it was Skype. And I actually would, have calls with some of the people I knew online, and some of those people still like follow me on Instagram to this day. There's a few people I'm thinking of from the hockey fandom that I was in 2010. The girl in the white jersey was my username, if anyone remembers that. If you're from that fandom and that world of hockey fandom is quite prolific. I'm sure it still is. It was very, very passionate at that time. But I would connect with them in real life, and it really became a very nourishing thing, to have these people, to have these friends who, there was one girl called Rachel who I wrote a story for her, and another girl called Katie when she came over to Vancouver. She was visiting from Portland, I think she lived in, and we met up, and that was so beautiful to meet her in real life. And like, can you do that? Now, I know we need to be careful on the internet. However, with Tumblr, like, the people that and you know who they are, they're real, and like, use your own judgment and be very safe. But is there a way that you can connect with them on WhatsApp or FaceTime or whatever mode of communication we're using these days. I also think it's worth addressing that this is going to be different depending on which stage of your life that you're in. I'm in my 30s. I've been in fandom since I was in my 20s, but I also recognize that in fandom, some of you are a little bit younger. I don't really feel qualified to talk to anyone under the age of 21, to be honest. You're probably not going to relate to me anyway. I'm probably going to sound like your grandmother, like I'm 150 years old. But there are those of us that have been in fandom for a while. I don't mean to say that as an exclusion thing. I just mean that those of you that are, have been in fandom a while might resonate with this a little bit more. And it's worth looking at, like, how do I say this? I noticed that some of my patterns in fandom were the type of thing that would be really appropriate for a teenager. And so I had to look at that, and obviously went through therapy and went through that whole process and really understood the reason why I was in patterns that were very appropriate for a teenager is because in my teens, I had a lot of trauma that happened. And as a result of that, my brain kind of got stuck in a process and didn't emotionally mature. Various different reasons as to why, but I had to teach myself certain things that would be natural to most people: emotional regulation, relationships, etc. And then I went to teach on that, as many of you will know. But it's worth looking at that. If you're someone that's in their 20s or 30s and you know that some of the things that you're doing feel a little younger than you are, it might just be worth looking at what happened in that time in your life where you kind of got stuck in this process instead of going through the regular process of emotional maturation and all of that. You might have got stuck in a bit of a loop there, so it's worth looking at where that comes from. What else do I want to let you know? I do want to give you some questions you can ask yourself. Those questions are: what parts of fandom make you feel really, really good? What parts of fandom make you feel like crap? We're talking about after the event, not during. When you think about some of the things that make you feel like crap, how do you feel when you're doing them? Is it meeting a need within you? What is that need? How can you give that to yourself? How much time are you spending in fandom? Are you happy with that amount of time? Are there any changes you want to make to the amount of time you're spending in fandom? What I would recommend is I did a detox for a while. I did a detox of completely pulling myself out of all fandom related activities, and it was actually quite jarring. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do that, but I would recommend that you just look at the behavior and look at which parts feel really good, which parts feel like crap, which parts you want to change. And remember, even if it seems like it's just such a small change, like going to open the app and then deciding not to, that's such a big decision, and it makes a massive difference. It's that whole thing of if a flight takes off and it's 1 degree out, by the time the flight ends, the plane ends up in a completely different place. And it's very much like that with our change and transformation. When we just do a 1 degree change over time, we end up in a very, very different destination. So keep that in mind too. These small 1 degree changes add up over time. And it's all okay. It's all okay. We've all been through a lot over the past 2 years. And if you found that your relationship to and with fandom has reached a point where you're like, not really happy with how that's going, that's okay. And it's understandable. In fact, it's completely inevitable because of what we've all been through. We've all been socially isolated. And yes, that's changed. But for many places, it hasn't. There's lots going on in the world that's extremely difficult and traumatic. And I really don't feel qualified to talk about what's been in the news recently. But we all know, and it's hard and it's scary, and sometimes it feels nice to just have a little bit of escapism, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, for people like us who maybe have a tendency to dive in a little deep for many, many different reasons that are too numerous to list out and mention, it's worth just looking at which parts feel good and which parts have maybe stopped serving us, and do more of the things that feel good and do less of the things that feel like crap, and also get the support that you might need when it comes to your emotional health. This video is really about emotional health. It's really not about mental health. I'm really not qualified to teach on that. I'm a coach. I've been coaching since 2014, but I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychotherapist. And so I'm making the assumption that everyone that's watching this has been through some kind of process with therapy and counseling. If you haven't, please go there. If you have any active mental health conditions, I'm really not qualified to help you with that. So make sure you're getting the support that you need. Some great support out there. I should really partner with BetterHelp. I think that would be a really, really good fit for the channel, and hopefully help all of you as well to really get the support that you need, because life can be overwhelming and it can be tough, and just Yeah, just be easy on yourself and gentle with yourself. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And also, this is another topic for another time, but the things you're attracted to in fandom, the characters you love, the stories you're writing actually tell you a lot about yourself and the relationships you want and what you need in life and love and friendship. So none of it is random, and I think you're doing a really, really beautiful job of navigating this thing, this human experience, this thing we call life. Thank you so much for being here. I've been Cheryl Muir. This has been Love and Fandom. Please join me next time. Subscribe so you get notified of next time a video is out. And if you really enjoyed this, make sure you pop a comment down below and let me know what you enjoyed. Let me know what parts of fandom you're going to start to change and what action steps you're going to take as a result of watching this video and this training. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time, and remember, you are absolutely worthy of love.